They said most children don't work that well with their parents, but I can tell that you guys have a really special bond. And again, remembering the theme for this week and the fact that I now live 708 miles away from my parents, I felt this immense gratitude to ASP for being a ministry that not only brings assistance to Central Appalachia, but that also brings our church and our personal families closer together. However, that special moment talking to our homeowner and witnessing throughout the week the different parent-child or grandparent-child bonds at our site reminded me of why I chose to be on the same work crew with my dad back in 2019. ASP tells us that when we remain in Christ, then we are drawn into their ongoing story, which branches out into the entire world. This reminded me to remain rooted in my foundation from the time my dad taught me to use a screwdriver when I was 5 years old to this year when he was still teaching me to use table saws and more power tools, because that will only strengthen my story and my branches of the fruits of the Spirit that I can use in my future to help others. We accomplish the work we do in Appalachia due to our deep roots in Christ's love, and because of community support like Lord of Life, our parents, our grandparents, and our friends. So thank you for being a part of that mission as well. Your support and prayers do not go unnoticed, and I encourage you as you listen to the rest of our reflections today to think about how you can bear fruits of the Spirit in your own lives. Thanks.
Hello, my name's Larkin. This year was different from the past 2 years I've gone. The past 2 years, I was outside all day, burning, sweating, and working hard. This year, I was inside, and I felt like I was barely working. My group's project was repairing a kitchen floor that wasn't safe for the family. As many of you can imagine, kitchens in mobile homes aren't very spacious. There were 5 of us trying to work in one small area that didn't really work. Since this was the case, Dan, who was the only guy in our group, took over most of those duties. He was sweating buckets a day, but still never stopped, even to the point that one night we didn't make it to the dinner announcements and we were almost late to dinner. We made it to dinner with 10 minutes left, but luckily when we got there it was chicken tenders, so it made everything better. Us girls did find useful things to do, such as cutting the wood to get ready for Dan to put in, measuring the areas that needed to be cut, and even screwing in wood when needed. Most importantly, us girls had the opportunity to grow close to the family who lived in this home. I'm sure that when you guys hear that we're going on this ASP trip, you think that we just go to repair these homes. But really, we go there to build strong connections with families, and on the side, we repair their homes. The family this year was one of the best families I've had going on this trip. There were 3 kids, and then the mom and dad. The kids would always come outside when we arrived at 9 a.m. to say hello and greet us. The mom was talking to us all day we were there about anything, and the dad was always there offering ways to make our job easier, and in the end, it was actually helpful when he offered us wire cutters, I believe, to help us cut the flooring, which made the job a lot easier. Before we left, I gave the family a box of extra snacks we had laying around, and I don't think I've ever seen a family so happy to get a box of random snacks. The mom kept telling me thank you and saying that all they eat is snacks because they just sit at home all day. And sure enough, when I went back in about 10 minutes later, they were all eating the snacks. One thing that really hit me this year is that I realized that I can't call these people's homes houses because it just doesn't sit right with me. This is what they call home and what they look forward to come home to every day every night after a long day. And even though these houses don't look like ours or aren't as big or need a lot of repairs, this is someone's home. This year, I got the chance to work with Dan. And at first I was nervous because other years I was with Lowell or Tom, who are the most caring and of course hilarious people. I'm sure not many of you know, but I'm always talking and laughing and I can never close my mouth. And not many people can handle that, so I was worried because I had no idea who Dan was and I was like, he's gonna sit there saying, does she ever stop talking? But luckily he was the opposite, and by the end of the trip he was asking me why I wasn't talking if I was quiet for 5 seconds. He was also hilarious that I was crying half the days just from laughing so hard. And the stuff he said was so random and in such a mellow-toned voice. One thing that always made us laugh was when we got to a difficult part in the work site, he would sit there and go, want to go to Walmart? To like take a break and just get out. He also claimed that he couldn't hear anything. So half the time that the ASP leaders or we were talking to him, he would just sit there and laugh and act like he heard us, or just not even know what we were supposed to be doing because he claimed he couldn't hear them. But by the end of this trip, he was blaring music and singing with us crazy girls. And the best part was Tom and Dan met, the two most amazing people. And when they were together, they were hilarious. I was quite literally on the floor in the Family Life Center laughing one night. We introduced both of them to this new song that they wouldn't stop singing, and that was the best part. Now, I don't know if anyone remembers, but last year my friend and I both pied Tom in the face, thinking he was gonna pie us, which he never did. But we had to carry on that tradition, and so we both pied Tom again, but we also got to pie Dan. Now, even though I wish I was more involved on the repairs of this house, I know I had an impact on this family in a different way. We didn't get to finish the flooring, which upset us all, but the family didn't seem to mind. They were so excited to see what we had accomplished. They no longer had a hole in their floor and had some vinyl flooring down by the time we left. The mom was so amazed at how nice it looked with what we had accomplished. The kids and dogs were even more excited, walking on the vinyl that we had put down just to see how nice it was and how nice it felt. I wish we were there to see their reactions when all the flooring was down, but I know that another group is coming in tomorrow who's really going to touch this family's heart and get to see their reaction when all the flooring's down. This year definitely had the biggest impact on me, and I hope the more I go on these trips, the more of an impact is created on me. Thank you.
Tori Soy. Okay, the question most have been asking is, did you bring home any cats this time? And the answer is, I didn't, sadly. Anyways, this week has been full of laughter and a lot of hard work. ASP changes you as a person and also as a church. We are all doing different things in life, but during this week, we all come together for one purpose. I got the opportunity to meet another church with the same goals, and I also got to get to know our own members a little more. That's the joy of ASP. You connect with so many different people. Most importantly, you connect with these families who have welcomed strangers week after week into their home. My family welcomed us with such open arms. They wanted to talk to us and connect with us just as we did. We were working in the living space, reinforcing the floor joists prior to replacing the floor. The whole process took a lot longer than we anticipated, and we ended up not being able to complete the finished flooring. However, the family didn't care. They were just happy we were there. You could see all the hope and joy in the family's eyes. That they could finally see their house that had been in a state of unfinished for weeks, finally becoming a home. It's more than just long days of nailing down wood and painting a wall. It's changing the lives of God's people and spreading His love that is within all of us. Hope to see more of you at ASP next year.
My name is Michelle Moody, and this was my third time attending ASP along with my now 17-year-old son. And I'd like to share the adult perspective with you. And even though the three ladies that just spoke before me are all technically adults, just for the purpose of my reflection, I'm going to define an adult as someone who cannot pick up a hammer off the floor without grabbing their back and grunting. So I'm putting all of our teens and 20-somethings together collectively into that youth category. And I just want to say that our youth are absolutely amazing. These are some, oh yeah, let's applaud. These are some of the hardest working young people I have ever seen. All were eager to take the initiative and try new things. On my crew, on the first day, we needed 3 people to be up on the roof. And right away, without any hesitation, 2 of our teens, Brady and Lucas, said, I'll go up on the roof, and joined the 16-year-old son of the homeowner up there. They worked all day in the hot sun, getting covered in sticky tar, and never once complained. On another crew, 2 of our Vail teens, Kevin and Jamie, mudded and sanded drywall for 5 straight days, which is very difficult and detailed work. But these youth handled it with the patience and skill of people twice their age. And each of our teams has dozens of stories like this about how our youth took on major work for the projects and how we literally could not have done it without them. They bring an enthusiasm to learn and a youthful energy that just can't be matched. These youth all have very bright futures ahead of them. Everyone on the trip learned many new skills, even those of us who've been there multiple times learned something new. And on my crew, on our very last day, we just made sure that anybody who had not yet learned to use a circular saw had a chance to learn a circular saw. But one of the best parts is that our youth were actually the ones teaching them how to use it because they had now become so adept at using some of these the machines. One of my favorite parts of the ASP trip each year is getting to be the self-proclaimed safety captain, otherwise known as the team mom. So rest assured, parents, grandparents, that your sons, daughters, and your husbands are getting nagged by me with constant reminders like, please don't start the drill or the saw until you have your safety goggles and gloves on. Or every 2 hours when I chirp a reminder, don't forget to reapply your sunscreen, and telling people to take frequent water breaks. But unfortunately, sometimes accidents still happen, and this year we did have a teen get a pretty deep cut with a box cutter. His mother had just left the work site, but during those first crucial minutes after the injury, he actually had 7 moms there. 2 people applied pressure and bandaged the wound. Someone went to get him a chair, someone else went to get him a fan, somebody quickly fetched some Tylenol, somebody noticed he was getting faint and grabbed him some snacks to help his blood sugar. He basically had 7 mother hens crowded around him, ages 16 and up, making sure that he was well taken care of. So rest assured that when you send your child or a grandchild on an ASP trip, that they will definitely be well taken care of by the other adults as well as their peers. However, I'd strongly recommend that and encourage parents and grandparents to consider coming along with their child or grandchild if you're able to. There is simply no better way to bond as a family than to be on a mission trip together. You get to see your team members at their best and at their worst. You're there to support them both literally and figuratively, and they're right there to support you back. And while this happens with all team members, whether or not they're related, there's nothing that beats the pride I take as a mom being able to watch my son, how he's grown on these trips. I feel so blessed that we've been able to do this together each year. And for all you parents and grandparents that had a child on this week's trip, I just want to let you know how amazing they are and how blessed the adults were to be able to spend time with them and getting to know them better. The days were exhausting, the heat was oppressive, the wasps were relentless, but our week was so filled with purpose and our teams were so filled with laughter and camaraderie that we never grew weary. Galatians 6:9, let us not become weary in doing good, for at the proper time we will reap a harvest if we do not give up. This is the verse that I always think of when I'm on my ASP trips. When you're doing good, you find that God will provide the strength and energy to push through even when you think you have nothing left to give. So on behalf of the entire 23 of us that headed on ASP this year, we just want to thank you all for your prayers and financial support that this